I think it's really important to emphasize how quick an invasive insect can spread throughout the nation. So this is the emerald ash borer. This is a really famous beetle that came over from Asia that kind of worked its way throughout the United States rather quickly. And it's even found in Nebraska. So it's an ash borer. We have ash trees. There's a lot of ash trees in Nebraska, and the ash borer is really well known for taking them out. And so we have a lot of green ash trees in here. And so this insect is found in Nebraska. So this was when it was first detected on the eastern side, kind of in the Omaha, Ralston, Bellevue, Papillion area. And you can see the progression of it. This was a map from 2018. This is just 5 years later, 2023. You can see that it's kind of going right along I-80 to the west. So it's pretty easy to tell that it's distributed by human contact. We found that since they're boring into the wood, a lot of the things that we do in the state involve cutting down trees. When that happens, we try to make use of the tree. And so a lot of the times that ends up being firewood. Well, if they're not cared for properly or treated properly and ready for sale, the larva of the beetle can stay alive in the wood. And so if it's not killed off, they'll move across and then they get out and everywhere. And these are full infestations. These are not just like one beetle was found, like they're whole counties areas. And so Nebraska might not be a good example for this bug, but this is a countrywide example. So this is when it was first found in 2002 in Michigan. So it showed up in a shipment of firewood from overseas. People wanted to use it for, could be carving projects, could be construction, just doesn't really matter, it got here. This was in 2002. This is in 2023. So pretty quickly, kind of blew up all over the country. The green that you're seeing is the natural range of our ash trees in the country, and the red is the beetle itself. So it's just exploded since being here. And this is a really kind of an extreme example, but we stopped surveying for this insect starting this year. So we have surveyed for it up until this point. We're no longer going to be doing that because it's been declassified as a federal priority pest because it's here to stay.
So basically, the USDA is not giving us any money to further survey for this pest because it's in so many other states, so they defunded it.
Mm-hmm. And so we're going to focus on a couple of insects that we do survey for in the state. So the first one is spongy moth. It used to be known as gypsy moth. It kind of had a derogatory name. It was kind of those old school white guys that used to run things. Didn't really call it the proper term. So we changed the name a couple years ago to spongy moth, something a little more endearing, but it's a bad bug. So these are generalist pests. It was introduced in 1869. An amateur entomologist and a guy that really wanted to manufacture silk with caterpillars that were a little more disease resistant, brought them over, and they got out into his backyard in not too long, and they distributed all over the country. Well, that's an extreme example, but so we're still surveying for this pest. We do find a couple occasionally. I think there's 5 delimits set last year, which means we did find one, and we're making sure that it did not get established, so there's no exploding populations around the state. But there's been 5 instances of it found in the state fairly recently. So to make sure that it's not here, we really have to hammer out the survey. And so we set these green paper delta traps, and we hang these from trees with a pheromone lure. So it's a little lure that is soaked in chemical that is secreted by the female to draw in males. So male bug flies in here thinking he's gonna get a date, and he gets stuck because it's really sticky on the inside. It gets everywhere. I would not recommend touching this.
I'll pass around the insect.
And we have mounted slides of the adult from the ones that we have found in the state. We set 751 of these traps last year.
Of those? The
of
green
those,
ones?
of those green little pyramid triangles.
All these are,
They're really annoying, but we're very thorough throughout the state. So that's mainly for detection for this case. So we just want to make sure that even though we found it a couple times in the state, that it's not here to stay. So we survey for this with the traps, and we also look for the egg masses, which I'll show you on a later slide, on pieces of firewood. This is how the distribution map looks today. It originally arrived in Pennsylvania, and it's since then kind of blown all the way over to Wisconsin.
Boston,
Boston,
yeah.
Massachusetts.
We do have a pest that is originated in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So, this is what the female looks like on a tree. Might be hard to see, but all of these orange little spongy-like structures is where it gets the name spongy moth. These are the egg masses. The female can lay up to 1,000 eggs per egg mass. So each one of these white ones is a female, and you'll see on the adults as they're getting passed around. So each one of those is laying about 1,000 eggs. So there's a big opportunity for them to just blow up and go everywhere. This is kind of an example of how big that they can get. This is a penny. A small little thing can really pass through inspections if you're not looking for it and not trained on how to look for it properly. The second one we're going to talk about is the spotted lantern fly. This is kind of a newer pest as well. It was first found in 2014. It's highly invasive. It's brand new to the U.S., about 10 years old. But the populations on this guy have exploded. These get everywhere. They're super generalist when it comes to what trees they feed on. They're hemipterans, which means they're true bugs, and they have a needle for a mouth. And so they jam their mouth into the tree and suck out all the juices from inside the tree. They also prefer stone fruit. So if anybody likes grapes, likes peaches, fruit kind of like that, something with a pit in it, these guys will feed directly on it, and they poop something called honeydew. So it's like a really sweet substance, and it promotes the growth of this type of mold that totally ruins the product. So it's really, really bad for the wine industry, places that have vineyards, orchards, can have really bad effects on stuff. So this is its main host. It's called the Tree of Heaven. The reason it's its main host is because it's also from its native homeland. This is what it grew up feeding on. It kind of grows in these little clusters, and the reason it's here in the United States is because we like it for landscaping purposes. It's kind of been our downfall because we provided a perfect host for it to grow here. This is kind of what it looks like when it's in Nebraska. It's just kind of clumped together, almost weedy. And it is found in Nebraska, but the pest itself is still on the East Coast. This is where it is today. This was last year. New Jersey, fully infested. Pennsylvania is really getting there. It's into New York, and it's continuing to spread to the west, and it's in Ohio, I think. Ohio found it recently. And this is where the potential for it could be. So they run these climate maps on the United States to see where there's suitable habitat for it. It's all over the East. And then the last one we're going to talk about that we really try to do a lot of survey work for is the walnut twig beetle. This is not actually invasive to the United States. This is a native species, but it is a West Coast, East Coast species only. So it's invasive to the state. So this has also been detected in Nebraska. We found it in Scotts Bluff a few years ago. There were a couple of them. These guys like to inhabit walnut trees, and it's kind of cute. I love them. Cute little beetles. We conduct the survey with this trap. So we hang these guys from trees with a pheromone lure on it to show that it's just like a kind of the same thing as the other one, where it creates the female pheromone. So all the males fly into this thinking they're going to get a hot date, and these funnels have a really slick-proof substance on it called fluon, so insects can't walk up it. And so they'll hit this, and then they'll fall all the way down into this cup that has a chemical compound that kills insects. And so we set 45 of those traps around the state every year.
Does anybody go to Walnut Grove Park ever? You guys do? I set survey traps in that area, have been for the last 10 years.
That's
So,
cool.
there's 3 per park typically, but wherever they're Walnut Grove Park on 156th and Q? Yeah, Q. So if you guys ever go there and you see, it's on a metal post, and I just, every 2 weeks, I unscrew the bottom, and then I dump it in a paint, thinner paint
Big filter.
filter, and then, bag it up and send it to John here, so.
And I have to pick through all those samples to see what it is. Just in case you don't understand how small this is. That's the tip of a pencil, and this is the beetle right here. So I'm on the scope for hours, looking through thousands. And this is just one species. We have like 50 or 60 different species in the state. So it takes a lot of work to just comb through everything, put everything through the scope. And if you're an entomologist, if you study insects for a living, this is gonna be routine work for you. That's just, it's an unavoidable thing. You're gonna do a lot of scope work. I love it, some people don't. Another thing to note is that these are the exit holes. So this is why this pest is so important. It houses bacteria on its body that infects walnut trees with something called thousand cankers disease. And a canker is something that Kathleen will probably talk about when she's doing her inspection talk. But they're really bad for the tree, and they can end up killing it. And so the more of these beetles that are in a tree, the worse off it's probably gonna be.
And why do you think this potential insect is detrimental to our environment? Because what do we use black walnut trees for? Bats? You know, we make furniture with walnut trees. So if we were to get this insect in the state, then, you know, we wouldn't be able to make furniture out of black walnut trees and other
And firewood, which brings me to the next topic. We also have to look for this during our inspection work. So we conduct 3 major inspections that Kathleen conducts 3 major inspections throughout the state. I make sure that they have the information they need for these. The first one we're gonna talk about is the Columbia root knot nematode. So it's a really small worm, you can almost call it that. But it's the size of bacteria that lives in soil that disturbs the growth of potatoes. I don't know if people know this, but we do produce quite a lot of potatoes out west. And if they have these nematodes, it's really bad for the potato. Like, inedible, taste is bad, and it's an invasive nematode. So we make sure that there are states in the United States that do have this. We make sure it's out of Nebraska. So we do conduct seed potato inspections at multiple stores throughout the state every year. I think we do about 80 to 100 every year. The next one is seasonal. We do Christmas tree inspections. We look for damage, look for insects all over the Christmas trees. Again, Kathleen will probably elaborate more on this during her inspections. But this is just a couple of examples of what we would see. Here's pine Zimmerman moth damage. It's kind of just like this gross, funky frass. And then this is pine needle scale. So these white spots on this are actually bugs. It kind of looks like some weird dry waxiness. It's a bug, believe it or not.
And basically that insect will suck the chlorophyll out of the needles. So it really yellows the tree, and it can kill it eventually. It does take 5-6 years if left untreated, but it can kill the, like a white pine tree.
And then our last one is firewood inspections. So the walnut twig beetle and the sponge moth stuff, all of that is also covered in our firewood inspections. So we look for those exit holes, we look for this spongy moth egg mass. Spotted lanternfly also leaves like a gray looking egg mass that looks kind of similar for it. And we also look for this stuff. It looks like sawdust, but it's actually frass and sawdust. So frass is just a fancy term for insect poop. Super fun, right? And that's because sometimes they get past initial inspections. So this is an example of a product that made it past an initial inspection leaving the country of what we think is China. It made it into Florida. Some lady bought this from Ohio. She was at a Florida trade show. She bought this for an art piece she was making. It was a lamp. She took it home to Ohio. Turns out there was a ton of insect larvae in this thing that were not dried properly, and they burrowed their way out. We got lucky with this photo here because one of them actually died on its way out because it's kind of had this like lacquer on it, and they ate that and poisoned it and killed it. But there were some that did make it out. And so this is exactly how introduced species and invasive species get introduced to our environments in Nebraska and the nation. So just watch out for that. We look for it. So if you see anything goofy like that, use the spotted lanternfly cards that we gave out. If you see something, please report it. I think I'm gonna hand it off to Kathleen. She can talk about the nursery.
So my main job, again, is divided into 3 different inspections. So we do nursery certification. So I go into like Home Depot's, Lowe's, and I go to like Lanahaw Nursery, Mulhol's Nursery. Anybody hear about those nurseries? Ever been to any of them? So I go in there and I look for disease and insects. So like here's a greenhouse, and basically I would look for anything that is unusual. So I have to know what a specific perennial may look, it has to look normal. So, and I only have a minute because I'm just walking, acres of greenhouse. Lanahaw has, I think, 10 acres under greenhouse, and it's a lot of work. We go through down these and look at the plant material and looking for anything unusual, IDing, even the common stuff like spider mites and aphids. On my report, I write up a report at each location, but also big nurseries. This tree is eventually balled and burlapped. Can anybody tell me what balled and burlap means?
We haven't quite gotten into like.
Okay, balled and burlap means that they take a tree spade, they dig it, and put it up on the ground, and then a worker wraps it up in burlap, and then it's got the root system all in one spot, and they can move it to wherever they want to plant it. I mean, granted, it's about 300 pounds, but that's how all my nurseries move their trees to landscape design areas. So in my years of inspection, every year we have a top 10 list of diseases and insects. This one is diseases, so we're going to see a lot of various leaf spots, sooty mold. Sooty mold happens when you have an aphid and it excretes honeydew, and then the environment, the honeydew develops a mold on it, and then it turns black. And what happens when leaves turn black? No photosynthesis happens, and then it destroys the plant, and it looks very unsightly, and so no one buys it. So no one likes sooty mold. Root rots, obviously, that's just on perennials typically, and it's usually if it gets overwatered, and then it will get a fungal disease and rot. The root system will turn black and it will kill the plant. I see that on a lot of perennials like rosemaries and lavender get root rots a lot. Canker disease. This is a bacterial wetworm, so it's sunken tissue that turns black underneath there. So that blocks, again, the vascular system of the tree, and so it eventually dies after. Granted, it does take some time, but eventually the tree, if not treated or cut down, or the part of the canker cut out, the tree won't survive. So we got the top 10 insects. Anybody seen this one before? What is it? I mean, I guess it's written right there, but.
I'd say like 3/4 you guys should probably. Yeah.
Japanese beetle is one of the insects that we have to survey for, because our state is totally infested. We have this insect, and it's probably been around for what, I'm gonna say 40 years, 45, 50 years.
It's everywhere.
So it's slowly, it came into New Jersey, and now it's slowly moving west. It's not in Colorado yet, but it is on its way. I think they're partially infested in Colorado. That is, this insect right here, we have to monitor a lot, because we have, I told you before, B&B trees, they have to, if they want to ship out of state, out of Nebraska, into a non-infested state, then they have to treat the root ball and with a chemical, and then I have to witness that and make sure that they're following all the rules to get it into a different state. So it takes a lot just to move plant material into other states. This oak clearwing borer is a restrictable insect, and I was going to show you this. This is what I carry every day when I do nurseries. If I see that oak clearwing borer in an oak tree, I wrap the tree around with a restriction tape, and hopefully they don't sell it, because I don't want the public to get this bug, because it will the tree won't thrive with that pest inside of it. Spider mites and aphids, very common. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of those this spring.
We'll see, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So another portion of what I do is export program. So basically every week, I have certain inspections that I do. Our state exports a lot of popcorn. So just on Tuesday, I went to 3 different companies and I looked at their popcorn. They ship all over the world. I mean, in every country that you could think of, they're shipping popcorn. Seed potatoes, Nebraska is in the top 10 producers of seed potatoes. So that means we're exporting to Mexico and Canada. And I have done a lot of inspections, walking through potato fields, picking up dirt, because there's nematodes in dirt, and other countries don't want our nematodes, because nematodes cause the potato to be disformed, and the potato is no longer good anymore. And so what we've done up until, I'd say in 2006, it was found in Nebraska. 4 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, so this is almost my last.
No, you're
slide.
good. Yep, just.
So anyways, this is another hay products I inspect, and that's like your rabbit in your greenhouse from Oxbow. I have to go to Oxbow Animal Health and look at their hay products that they export all over the world every week, and they have 4 or 5 different orders that are getting shipped out of Nebraska. So I think this just shows you, this is my area right here. I have the Omaha, Sarpy County, and then north into the purple, and then my coworker Amber, she does that, and then this, if you want a job. Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking for something.
We have all this, we have an area 3 that's open. So, John is a survey coordinator, and then we have one lady that just started in January that travels this whole area. So,
A lot of driving.
it's a lot of windshield time, but she saves us a lot of time that I don't have to go out there and do it.
Gotta get some good podcasts or.
Yeah.
Is there any quick questions?
Podcast on
Is there anything that you guys think that you might wanna, know from us? I guess I didn't touch on the licensing. Every person that distributes plant material in the state has to have a license to distribute. It's a license that costs like $108 and it goes from January to December.
Okay, could you guys please give them a round of applause for coming?
Just want to say, hope you appreciate looking outside, all the trees and shrubs.